Thanks very much for your time. I am Pius Kojobaka. First up, the Bank of Ghana is taking additional measures to help improve dollar supply to commercial banks and businesses. George Yafe has the rest of the story on how this initiative could impact the cedi's fortunes going forward.
Bank of Ghana in the past had the program that it sells dollars to the commercial banks and businesses. That is, taking the Ghana cedis from the banks and some businesses and giving them dollars in 14 days, 28 days, or even some cases, 2 months. This arrangement was done in the way to assure them that they would get their dollar needs when needed. However, the regulator is now taking this move further with the 7-day auction, and now it is implementing what can be described as the spot sale. The Bank of Ghana, by this move, which started this week, is now taking the dollar request from the banks and settlement done in a day or two. This should mean that the regulator is now moving fast to meet the dollar needs of the commercial banks earlier than expected. The development is supposed to help improve liquidity on the market, which should go a long way to help deal with the current pressure on the Ghana cedi. Well, it might be early days, but the Ghana cedi has been making some gains on the forex bureau market, as some of them are now selling the dollar at around 16 Ghana cedis, 90 pesos. The Bank of Ghana has also increased the amount of dollars that it sells through its auction programs. Some of the commercial banks have told Joy Business that if this spot dollar auction program is sustained, it could go a long way to slow the city's rate of depreciation against the dollar.
I want to bring in the views of senior finance lecturer, and economist, Professor Lord Mensah, for some conversation on the back of this. Thanks so much, Professor Mensah, for joining the discussion. And per the story given to us by George Yafe, we are learning that the BoG will be selling the dollar spot at its daily FX auctions, meaning that bidders now have 2 tenure options. That is the existing 7-day tenure and, of course, the additional spot tenure. Your thoughts?
At how the central bank operationalized it. It's more or less, something like the forward, interest for those businesses who are interested in the dollar, and then banks who are interested. And then over the past, when the bidding is poor,
Professor Mensah, we are struggling to hear your thoughts, so kindly reposition yourself so that we have a clearer conversation.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, so much better now.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that, Bank of Ghana operations, the dollar as it has to do with, the forward market, looking at, 7-day, 15-day, 30-day, 45-day, 75-day, thereon. But then over the past, weeks and months, clearly, most of the bidding has been concentrating on the 7-day. That shows that the demand is in the short term. If a bidder is going forward and he goes deeper into the number of months, clearly it gives the signal that there's some kind of confidence, as far as the exchange rate is concerned. But if they bid in and they bid short, then the regulator will have no option than to make the spot market available. So, that is why possibly they are, introducing, the spots exchange rate so that the bidders can buy into the spot exchange rate.
And I'm pretty sure the spirit behind this whole initiative is to improve the cedi's fortune. How do you see that playing out?
Well, if you have, if you're operating a forex market where you are encouraging forwards, where the bidders are not bidding deeper into, the future, looking at the 75 being avoided by the bidders, and they're all concentrating on short term, it tells you that, yes, of course, in order not to throw the forward market off guard, you may have to make dollar available immediately for them. And that is why, the Bank of Ghana, is doing that. It's not just, a way of, controlling the currency, but then it has to do with the interest from the market. The market has been short horizon over the past, few, months. And that is why Bank of Ghana has no choice to make sure that, they make the dollar immediately available as and when it is called for.
And how sustainable will this be?
Well, it depends on our dollar buffers. and then also how, the market distortions orient itself to make sure that there will be no much difference when it comes to the 7-day and then the spot. The only thing that brings about the 7-day forward and then the 15-day and then the other days forward is about uncertainty. Now, once the market, the uncertainty on the market tones down, assurance, falls through, you'll come to appreciate that there will be no much differentials between the spot and then the forward. And so the market will be at equilibrium at a point. But for now, once there's uncertainty, for sure, the bidder will always require that immediately, there's a request for the dollar, it has to be made available.
All right. So as it stands now, businesses during this time would need more dollars to purchase items for Christmas, of course. Now, what do you foresee happening to our local currency despite this intervention put in place by the BoG?
Yeah, the local currency has to do with, the buffers we have. It has to do with the demand. If we have enough buffers and the Bank of Ghana will be able to meet, the spots that is being created, and at the same time, the forward, the short-term forward, like the 7 days, there's no problem with the exchange rate. But once, the spot market is created and there's demand and the signal goes out that the Bank of Ghana cannot meet this demand, obviously you have to see, the dollar rising against the cedi.
Professor Lord Mensah, thanks so much for your thoughts this very moment. We appreciate it, sir. He's an economist. Away from that, one of our headline stories, Ghana has exceeded the benchmark price for crude oil lifting as targeted in the 2024 budget. This is a positive signal showing that the country has earned more than projected from crude oil production in the first half of the year. This was revealed in the semi-annual report of the Public Interest and Accountability Committee. More in this report.
The average unit price achieved by the Ghana Group for Jubilee crude during the period was over $86, higher than that of the same period in 2023, which was $78. This is higher than the government estimated benchmark price of $75.4 for 2024. Meanwhile, according to the report, there was no lifting on the 10 field to warrant a price comparison during the period under review. Ghana Group's average achieved price over the three producing fields stood at $93 per barrel in the first half of 2024, compared to $75 per barrel in the first half of 2023, representing a 22.8% increase. The Ghana Group's achieved prices on the Jubilee field were higher than the average price of Cosmos and Tallow by about $2 and $1.7 per barrel, respectively.
Meanwhile, the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PIAC, has questioned government's commitment to the industry sector. This follows the revelation that no significant amount of funding was allocated to the sector from the petroleum funds since last year. Now, speaking to journalists after releasing its semi-annual report, Chairman of PIAC noted that the development is not good for the country.
We also found that there was neither allocation nor disbursement to the industrialization priority area during the period under review. The 4 priority areas, one of them is industrialization. We don't have anything on that in the first half of 2024. Last year we had 0.11%. Okay, 0.11, less than 1%. This year we don't have even that 0.11. That is not too good in the sense that it shows that we are not too committed as a nation to industrialize. But as I said, this is a guide for policy implementers. So, yes.
And we want to analyze the findings from the semi-annual report of PIAC further. Joining us via Zoom is energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Suleiman. Thanks so much, sir, for joining us, and always a delight to know you are on with us. Now, first off, it is, of course, exciting to know that Ghana has recorded over 55% increase in petroleum revenue for the first half of this year, which, of course, is the highest revenue since the beginning of production. Impressive, you would say.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pius, and good evening to you and your cherished listeners in Ghana and across the group. Thank you for having me. Of course, that should be pleasing to hear, or that should be so refreshing especially after the barrage of unpleasant news that emanated from, PIAC as a body to the effect of the consistent reduction or decrease in crude oil production. But I must say I commend PIAC for consistently doing what they are mandated to do. They don't have much. I've always called that if they could go beyond this kind of reports and then can take action to ensure that some of these things are implemented, that would be great. However, of course, we need some changes to be able to give them that strength to be able to take people on. He mentioned something very crucial for the fact that these allocations, and I've always mentioned that there's one thing having the revenue, but if you're unable to distribute the revenue judiciously, or appropriately to where the revenue is supposed to go, it's going to impact you, in one way or the other. And so, coming back to the increment, I think the increment, the fundamentals hasn't changed, but it has to do with the JSC field, I believe, the Jubilee Southeast. If you remember, somewhere last year, Jubilee Southeast field was opened up to increase the production portfolio to the greater Jubilee. Jubilee has always been the grand jewel for Talu in terms of their production portfolio, in terms of even Ghana production portfolio. Jubilee has always been doing well as compared to the other fields. So yes, that has been the one that is accountable for this increment in volumes. But that is just for half of the year, because of course that amount didn't come in somewhere 2023. It's just this year that it is coming in. And this report is just up to 6 months, let's say from January to 2024. So yes, there has been some increment in volumes. But in terms of crude oil prices, there hasn't been that much of a change, of course. So of course, if there's any increment in revenue, it's going to come from the increment in volumes. And of course, there are two things that will increase country revenue. One is the volume increment, and the second one is the prevailing prices within the international space. Prevailing prices between last year and this year, there hasn't been that much, but of course, we have increment in the volume, especially from Jubilee Southeast JSC field that was opened back, that was discovered somewhere last year. And I must say, even Jubilee Southeast field hasn't even gone to maximum. The expectation was that some wells were supposed to produce to some amount, but Ghana didn't get that much. As expected, the target was 30,000 barrels of oil per stream day. Adding to our production portfolio, we haven't realized that. Plans are still underway to ensure that. That is realized. So yes, it's good news. Every single news is good, especially the fact that we've had this consistent decline over the years. Pius, yeah.
For the sake of time, I want you to quickly wrap up with this for me. How do we sustain this momentum, bearing in mind that, well, when it comes to beneficial in terms of how equitable we've been able to effectively utilize these revenue accrued over the period, how can we leverage on that?
Yeah, so consistently, two things. Number one, investment. You can't eat your cake and have it. You need to do investment. And this is a time that we require investment to the oil field. So I want to urge on the players to consistently make sure that they put the required investment strategically into this field. If you don't do investment, especially the infield drilling, that's what is required now. We need new fields. Even if the new fields are not coming, we need infield drilling, and that requires investment. That's number one. Number two, we need to stick to the directives of PIAC with respect to the PRMA, the Petroleum Revenue Management. It's very important. It's just like the cash waterfall mechanism we were talking about. Look, even if the revenue is not coming in the quantum that we needed, whatever is coming, there's a formula that you need to distribute to. Stick to that, because there's every reason that formula was gotten, or that formula we came out with that formula. If you don't stick to that, we're going to have ourselves to blame, especially for the core business. Right. The EMP business, we need to be able to put more investment into that before we can channel more oil into the production basket.
Thank you so much, Energy Advocate for the year. We appreciate your thoughts, sir. You're still watching Business Live. We are back with more stories. Please do stay. Welcome back to Business Live. Afri-Exim Bank has hired top lobbying firms to ensure U.S. President-elect Donald Trump listens to what Africans want, which is the renewal of the 24-year-old cornerstone of U.S. economic policy on the continent, the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. Now, there are concerns that a Trump win will threaten investments in Africa. So how would the outcome of the U.S. elections impact on investments in Africa? Chief Executive of Emerging Business Intelligence and Innovations, EBBI Group, Ajua Ejichum, tells us more.
So again, I believe that Trump's government, it's not going to be a bad thing for the continent of Africa. And the reason why I say that is when he came into power 4 years ago, they started, so the initiatives like the Prosper Africa, initiatives like the DFC is a Trump government initiative. And these are organizations that they've been set up to focus on investing in Africa. And then, of course, we have the Power Africa, which was an Obama initiative. But Trump did not stop the Power Africa initiative when he came into government. He actually sponsored it, and they expanded electricity access across the continent. And of course, we come to AGOA. Now, AGOA, again, when Trump came into power, he did not stop AGOA. He continued with AGOA. So I can only imagine that it will continue. He is a businessman. He's not a typical politician. And he's focusing more on business and how of course, business relationship and trade relationship can grow America and the other parties. So I do definitely believe that it will continue. Now, Afro-Exim hiring lobbies to lobby and to ensure that their voice is heard is a good thing. Of course, it's a new government, and we must not rule out the fact that, yes, a lot of effort needs to be done, especially with the America First agenda. We will have to be more vocal as Africans within the U.S. space to be heard. But I do believe that Trump will not ignore Africa based on what he's done in the past.
Yeah. In more business news, MasterCard Foundation, in partnership with Agri Impact Limited, is implementing the Harnessing Agricultural Productivity and Prosperity for Youth, known as HAPPY program, to create 326,000 jobs and increase food production by 2027 to increase food security, among other issues. Now, speaking at the program's annual learning event in Sunyani, the Group Chief Executive of Agri Impact, Dan Akwe, explained that the program will explore opportunities in the production of rice, soybean, tomato, and poultry value chains to reduce their imports. Precious Emevo has more.
The implementation of the Harnessing Agricultural Productivity and Prosperity for Youth HAPPY program, an initiative of MasterCard Foundation in partnership with 9 other implementers led by Agri Impact Limited, started a year ago to explore job opportunities for the youth, with 70% targeting women. The program, implemented across Ghana, will equip the youth with skills and tools to increase production within the rice, soybean, tomato, and poultry value chains to create 326,000 dignified and sustainable jobs by 2027 and promote value addition and marketing, among others. The Group Chief Executive of Agri Impact, Dan Akwe, said this will reduce food importation.
December 1st to 30th September 2024, the program has been able to open up job opportunities for 94,000 young people in Ghana in the 4 agricultural value chains. It is not only creating jobs, but how do we also increase food production to address food security in the country? And the aim of the program is that every year we should be able to produce 189,000 tons of food, and by doing that we'll be able to reduce our food import by $200 million a year, which is about 10% of the food that we import into the country. 1 year on, we have learned a lot of lessons, and we need to share the lessons that we have learned to inform other organizations in agricultural program development.
He said they are working with the Ministry of Agriculture to have the youth on board.
We are working with the Ministry of Agric and the district assemblies to sensitize the young people. There are a number of platforms too that we share links for them to apply. Once you apply, you go through screening, you are selected. But the communities, especially where you have structures at the community level, it could even be the assembly, it could be farmer associations, faith-based organizations. We are working through all of them to do sensitization, and through that we get the young people to come on board.
Head of Entrepreneurship Development at the Ghana Office of MasterCard Foundation, Godfred Odamten Soa, expressed satisfaction with their partners so far.
One of the things that has really stood out for us, which is working very, very well, is the private sector engagement on this program. And you would realize from the earlier session that there's been some core partners around poultry activities who have onboarded this program and are helping us ultimately reach out to the young people, especially women, and it's of great interest to see how this is progressing. There's also the public partnership as well, which is also working very well.
Precious Semevo, Joy Business, Sunyai.
And finally, before we go, the United Bank for Africa, UBA Ghana Limited, says it remains committed to advancing literacy skills of the youth and investing in Ghana's human capital for national development. The bank launched its 10th annual national essay competition with focus on whipping senior high students in proffering solutions to fighting climate change. Here's more.
Over the last decade, the United Bank for Africa UBA Foundation has demonstrated commitment to investing in the human capital of Ghana and across Africa. With focus on education, the bank has supported hundreds of young people in Ghana through its national essay competition. Now in its 10th edition, the annual competition, as part of the UBA Foundation's education initiative, is targeted at senior high school students in Ghana. It is aimed at promoting the reading culture and encouraging healthy and intellectual competition among secondary school students in Ghana and across Africa. This year's competition is focused on discussing the importance of environmental sustainability and actions young people can take in combating climate change. Henry Dote is the head of marketing and corporate communication for the bank.
We're focusing on climate change and environmental sustainability. We say that one of the pillars of the UBA Foundation is environment. You know what climate change is doing to our environment in Africa, in fact globally. But if you look at the effects of galamsey, one of the things happening in the country, we couldn't have chosen a better topic. We may not hit the streets or protest against galamsey, or we think that we can contribute to the fight against galamsey and generally support the improvement on in our environment. And therefore, we want to see what ideas these young ones have and how we can improve on our environment. And that's why we've asked the students to write on climate change, what the young people can do to help to improve environmental sustainability in Ghana.
Ashanti Regional Director of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. William Kwame Amankra Apia, is upbeat about the prospects of the national competition for the participating students. He says the competition will enhance the communication and research skills of participants.
You can't just stand out and say you are writing an essay. It will polish your tenses. It will help you creative how you think, critical thinking, how you construct it entails a lot. So this initiative is one of the best initiatives so that at least it will build the confidence level of the students.
3 out of the thousands of applicants are expected to receive various scholarships if they are shortlisted to win the competition. Mr. Dote again.
Here today, there are other things we've done. So if you put the total logistics that we've put together to organize the national essay competition over the last 10 years, that's in excess of $400,000. Why are we doing this? We believe in, like I said, developing African resources in Africa. We don't think that anybody can come from anywhere to develop African resources for us, and that's why we believe in doing this. By taking education, we think that investing in the young people, we are investing into their future, we are developing them, and like we showed during the program, the very first winner 10 years ago is a medical doctor now working at the KNUSC hospital and doing other things as well. That makes us very happy and joyous that we've been able to impact on society in that manner. This is open to all senior high schools in the country, and we receive hundreds of thousands of applications every year, and then the final 3 are awarded the scholarships to attend any university of choice in Africa.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Grateful serving you. I am Pius Kojobaka. Let's connect same time tomorrow. Bye.